Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jacky and I'm a knitter from Germany, and this knitting podcast is everything knitting and yarn related. So finished objects, work in progress, hibernating whips, frogged whips, yarn acquisitions, future knitting plans, knitting ideas, everything about that. And I didn't upload an episode for January because right at the weekend that I usually film my podcasts, I got sick with the flu, and this flu virus thing hit me so hard that I was sick for almost 3 weeks in total. And I was just so exhausted, and being sick with 2 little toddlers who got also sick with the flu. It was just so hard to get through the day, and I had no energy to film a podcast or even knit. And I asked on Instagram if you guys would like a longer episode at the end of February, where I also talk about my FOs, like my finished objects of January, and when I got yarn to show the yarn. And over 80% of you guys loved the more detailed podcast with January details. So I'm doing this right now. And I really got the cast on sickness in January. That's what I can say. I actually finished a few projects as well, but 2 of them I don't have with me currently because the first finished object was a sample knit for a designer, and I can finally talk about it in detail, so I'm super excited. And then the second finished object is actually at my mom's house currently because I washed it there and then I just forgot to take it back home. But I have a finished object photo that I'm just going to show when I'm talking about it so you can see how it looks worn. So before I ramble too much, because I tend to do that, we're just gonna jump on right in, and I'm going through my finished objects for January. So the first thing I actually finished in January was the sample knit for the lovely Ann-Kathrin, and I knitted the Pureribshirt with Cardiff Cashmere Classic in the color Earth Tweed. And I think I started this late November last year, and I finished this early January, I think on the 5th or 6th of January. And then I sent it back to her, and then she, of course, reviewed the sample if there were any mistakes, and of course they weren't, because I would not give my sample knitting services to someone if I know that I'm not a confident advanced knitter. So of course there were no mistakes. And then she finally posted about it, which gave me the allowance to talk about it. So here you can see a finished object photo of this lovely piece. Sadly, I was so sad about this because I actually knitted this in the size I usually wear as well. We usually wear the same sizes, me and the designer. So whenever I knit something for her, I'm so sad because I can try it on for the fit and if there are any fit issues, and then I can't keep it for myself because I have to send it back. But it was so cool, and as a little thank you, I got to keep the rest of the yarn that I did not use, and this was 3 balls of Cardish Cashmere Classic. Let me just get that for you. I have this in this little box, and I have 3 balls, as you can see right here, of the Cardiff Cashmere Classic. It's 100% cashmere and it's in the color 670, and when I looked on the website it said Earth Tweed, and I have 3 skeins, and I'm intending to make a Sophie scarf, like just for spring, to like keep my neck warm and like my throat. And maybe if I have enough yarn left, I would love to make some penny gloves as well if I go out on some colder mornings when I bring my kids to the kindergarten or daycare or whatever you call it. And so this is actually already like planned away from my stash into actual projects. I really like to do that because then I'm not that overwhelmed about my huge stash. If you're new here, I have a stash that's around 30 kilos. So yeah, I really need to knit that up soon, and that's actually a goal of mine this year, to knit as much stash yarn up as possible, even though I'm still getting new yarn. I still want my stash to get a little smaller and a little more, how to say, like clean, and I can see the yarn more easily and I'm not overwhelmed about this huge yarn. The second project I finished in January was a test knit, also for Ann-Kathrin, and I tested the Bouclehoodie. The original yarn was partly sponsored with like some discount, but cut of cashmere for me is really pricey and I can't afford that even with a discount. So I was searching for yarn substitutions, and I then decided to use Drops Alpaca Boucle double-stranded in the color brown, and I think it's called either Off-White or Nature, but like the white color in Alpaca Boucle. And this was a really fun project, but I realized that I don't like working with boucle yarns because it's really hard to knit because you can't really count your stitches or rows, and then sometimes like the loops from the boucle thread get on your needle as well, and then when you try to knit like the stitch, you also knit up the loop and it gets super tight or too loose. And this project really hurt my hands because I could not keep an even tension without like really just plucking the needle through the stitches. So I was happy when I finished this. I have nothing negative to say about the finished object though, but I just did not like knitting with the Drops Alpaca Boucle. I don't know if it is like how it is when you pair one strand alpaca boucle with something else, because then you have like a normal yarn where you can put the needle through, but double-stranded alpaca boucle is really not my knitting jam, and I'm definitely not going to do this again. I know that there are really pretty boucle projects out there, but I would just substitute maybe like adding a DK weight with a alpaca thread, like a boucle thread or something, but I would never ever double strand or even triple strand boucle yarn just to get like the intended gauge or fit or look of the finished object. I would just like experiment a bit. But yeah, the finished object is fine. I love it. It's super cozy. But I really need to get that back from my mom so I can wear it. Last finished object is a hat. I actually knitted from some yarn scraps, I would call it, but it was just a small quantity of Knitting for Olive merino in the color soft peach. No. Oh yes, it was one strand of Knitting for Olive merino in the color soft peach, and then Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the color mushroom rose. And this is the hat that I got. This is the Stockholm Hat by PetiteKnit in the smallest size. I know that when you buy the pattern it says one size, but when you actually have the pattern in front of you and you're knitting like the big hat section, it tells you different numbers of rows depending on your head circumference, and I just chose the smallest circumference range of that. And I didn't read the pattern correctly, and I did not do a tubular cast on. I instead just cast it on normally, which left me like with this weird like bumping on my cast on edge. I really don't mind it that much. I just like wear my hat with this bumpy thing in the back. So when I'm in front of you, you can't really see it. And this hat is really warm and I really love it, but it gets a little itchy on my forehead when I get a little sweaty when it's too warm. And then the mohair actually itches a bit on my forehead, but I don't mind it that much. It's like nothing that really distracts me or bothers me. It's just something I noticed when I'm wearing this hat outside. So yes. And then I cast it on a lot of projects in January, which all of them I took into February as well. And honestly, I have a finished object for February. I'm just gonna get that real quick, and then anything else I have left is just whips and yarn and everything else. So I'm just gonna get my finished object for February that I just finished yesterday evening. I'm just gonna get it. So the brother of my husband is getting their second baby, and I really wanted to knit some baby knits because I've never done that before. And I found 3 balls of Drops Baby Merino in the color turquoise in my stash. And then I asked them, since they're getting another boy, if I'm allowed to knit something for them. And they were really happy and said yes. And then I was searching for something that a small baby would wear. And I found the Monday suit. And my yarn quantity was enough. And then I knitted the Monday suit. It's still missing buttons, so it looks a bit weird in the front, but I'm just gonna insert a picture as well where you can see it. And this is the Monday suit in the size 1 to 2 months, knitted and Drops Baby Merino, and I really like this one. It's super cool. I'm honest, I lost a bit of knitting mojo on this thing, but overall it was just a really, really fun knit and I really enjoyed it. But I'm glad it's finished now because I don't know what it is with gift knits. Like, I really like gift knitting, like gifting knits and seeing them proudly wearing the knitwear. But at some point during the knitting process, I get so annoyed about this project because then I want to knit something for myself that I can wear. But I have to focus on the gift knit because usually it's a gift knit with a deadline, like for a birthday or for Christmas or for a celebration like a baby party. And I'm not a good person with deadlines. I used to procrastinate so much, and this is really hard for me. Like, I like gift knitting, but at some point I don't like the knitting process and I just want to knit for my own. So yeah, that's really bad, but overall I'm just happy with it and I can't wait to give it away. It's still not completely dry, so I'm just gonna put it back to the blocking mats. But yeah, I'm just gonna attach the buttons tomorrow on the Saturday and then gift it on the same afternoon. I'm going to add some white shell buttons that I have in my button and needle repertoire, and then I'm just gonna sew them in tomorrow morning so it's ready to be gifted a few hours later. And that's honestly my only finished object in February because I have so many whips. I could not decide whether to knit on this and this and this. So yeah, this is my only finished object, but I really like it. I'm just gonna put that back, and then I'm gonna go back and we're gonna talk about all my whips. Something I cast on in January are the, I'm just gonna get it here, are the Willums overalls by PetiteKnit, and I only have this much of the leg, and then I just got carried away and just cast it on different other things rather than just finishing this one. But this is the beginning of a leg from the Willums overalls, and I'm knitting this in the size 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years for my smaller boy. My big boy is 4 years old, and his sibling is 2 years, and he's more on the smaller size. So I thought 2 to 3 years would be the optimal choice. And I'm knitting this in drops merino extra fine in the color chocolate. I think it's in the color chocolate. And this is everything I have. I still need to finish that one though, because I don't want him to grow out of it without even getting the chance to wear it. So I really need to finish this as soon as possible so my son can wear it, and I'm not like wasting my knitting time for something he can't wear. That would be like so stupid. So I really need to stop casting on different things and just finishing the things I have. But this is everything I have about my Willums overalls. I have this sweater for my older son. And as you can see, I have some yarn scraps here. And as you can see, this is quite far already. I don't know when I casted this on. I'm not good with dates and cast on dates and how long this took me. But I can say I casted this on January someday. I don't know. So this is a test knit for Fabel Knitwear. And this is the Junior Nutcracker jumper. And it has this beautiful seed stitch pattern and bubbles on the side. And this still goes around the sleeves. And I applied for the size 4 to 5 years for my bigger boy. And this is stash yarn as well, actually, because as I've said previously, I have a so big stash that I really need to focus knitting only stash yarn and buying less yarn, which I'm not good at. I love buying yarn and seeing yarn and feeling yarn and seeing all the colors that are outside, and I'm just like a victim for yarn sales, especially like when Drops has a sale and like a ball of animal fiber yarn only costs like €2. Like, I'm just gonna buy, like, even if I have enough, I'm not gonna skip a sale. So I'm double stranding for this pattern the Drops Flora in the color Patrol, I think. Yes, Patrol. And I just have this bit left to cast on the sleeves, which is not that bad because for these yarns that are not superwash, I split splice my yarn ends together, so I only have to weave in the ends from like cast on edge, bind off edge, on raglan thingies where I joined the sleeve or picked up the sleeve. so I don't have that many ends to weave in. So I don't mind if I, start knitting the sleeve with like this bit of yarn, because I can just split splice the ends together and then you don't see like any change. But this is how far I am. I just need to knit up the sleeves and then this is done. This has a deadline for the end of March, so I'm really good at time. I just knitted ahead so I can finish other projects, because usually like sleeves for children's knits don't take that long. And since the textured portion is only this small and then the rest is just stockinette in the round, I think the sleeves will fly by so quickly, so I'm not stressing about that. And yeah, I'm really happy about it. This looks really gorgeous and I can't wait to finish this one. Another thing I have, I'm not going by in chronological order, I'm just gonna get everything I have here. The next thing I have is another test knit for Cheryl Mokhtari of Cocoamourknitwear, and this is how much I have. I knitted a hat on this as well. I just joined in the round like five rounds ago, and this is the Saharan sweater v-neck edition. I applied for the crew neck size but didn't get accepted, and then she posted a call for the v-neck size, and then I said, okay, it's dash busting, I'm gonna take that one. And then I just applied for my usual size 3 and got accepted. This is how much I have. It's a drop shoulder piece with a deep v-neck. It looks really deep right now, but when I pick up the stitches for the collar, this will just get a bit higher up and will hopefully be not that deep. I got gauge, so it should not be too deep when I'm just knitting according to pattern and I get gauge. And this is like a normal DK gauge, 20-21 stitches on 4mm needles. And I'm using this yarn combo right here. This is BC Garn Summer in Cashmere in the color Bordeaux. This is actually a discontinued color that I got on as like a discount package last summer. This package included 500 grams of this yarn. So I just got it because it was on sale and I really liked the color. And then this is the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the color Claret or Claret, I don't know. And this just makes a really, really, really lovely Bordeaux-y wine color. And this is actually like one of my favorite colors. I tend to love like dark lilacs, Bordeaux, wine color, dark red, deep red. This is my color jam, so this is perfect. And stash busting as well, so I can get quite a good amount of yarn left, like knitted up. So I'm really happy, and I'm always so proud about my pickup edges. I don't know, like my knitting tension in general is super even. Like, okay, I'm knitting with mohair right now, but I'm just gonna show you, like, you can see no difference about like purl rows, knit rows. It is so even. And then like my pickup line for the shoulder stitches is like almost not visible. And like I never really paid attention to that before I saw another knitting podcaster on YouTube, and she talked about rowing out and having an uneven tension and people needing to change needle sizes on purl rows because they're knitting purls so loosely. And I'm a continental knitter, mostly. But I never had that problem with purling. Like, I don't hate purling. Purling is quite relaxing to me, and my tension is quite good. And I almost never have like rowing out, like maybe on some cotton yarns, but like minimal rowing out can be fixed and blocking definitely. but like on a DK yarn with like fingering and mohair combo, like my tension is so even, like you can't even see anything. So yeah, that's just something that amazes me every time when you compare like your knitting style or your knitting tension to someone else, how different it can be, and how some people have to adjust during a knitting process to like keep everything looking tidy and good, which is like, I don't want to like get to someone or make them angry, but it just amazes me how anyone just knits a bit differently. Like even continental knitters, like get 10 continental knitters and put them in a room and say, I'm just going to watch you knit. I promise you, every continental knitter is knitting somehow different, like tensioning their yarn differently, holding the needles differently, maybe purling differently, like Norwegian purling or Russian purling, or purling through the back loop or whatever. Like everyone knits differently, and that's totally okay. But it's just super cool when you just think about it. So yeah, that's definitely something, yeah, that's just super cool to see and hear about. And then I have another whip, yes, which is this one. I'm just gonna get it right here. I just started knitting the first sleeve with DP ends, so I'm sorry if you hear any needles clinging on themselves. So this is another test knit, but it has a quite large deadline, but I think it's mid-May or something, so I'm definitely not stressing myself, even though I can't stop knitting on this one because it's so cool. This is the Pulse Tee by Kristen Zimel of Snitches Get Purled, and I usually not a fan of bright colors, but I thought this butter yellow would look so cute in spring and summer. So I thought, why not just trying the color out? And this is Drops Cotton Merino, I think in the color vanilla or banana. No, I think it's called vanilla. Yes, this is called vanilla. And this is just like the super buttery vanilla yellow color, like super pastel-y. And this is how far I've gotten already. So I have like this big chunk of the body done, and then I already made the collar, and right now I'm just knitting on the left sleeve, and I usually knit the collar and sleeves first after joining in the round for the body and just knitting a bit from it, because it motivates me more if I see a garment that has already, like a sweater or cardigan or whatever, that has already the sleeves, because then when you try it on, it just gives the feeling of an finished object because it has sleeves and only needs like the length for the body. So I usually, when I join in the round, I just finish the skein I'm currently knitting on, and then I just continue with the collar and then the sleeves. And since this is a t-shirt, like a tee, the sleeves are not going to be that long, so when I have them gone, I just need to adjust the body a bit and knitting on it, and then it's fine. So this is my Pulse Tee. I'm knitting this in the size small, and this is also a DK weight gauge. I really love knitting like the normal DK gauge on 4 or 4.5 millimeter needles, and like 20 stitches, 28 rows. It's just so relaxing. I can knit several hours and not get any hand or wrist pain on 4 millimeter needles. Like this is my monumental, almost every time used needle size, and so I really like it. And as I've said before about rowing out, like before I joined in the round, I have like maybe minimal rowing out issues, but I would not say like this will not even out after blocking. And then the part where I joined in the round, like it is so even, and I'm so proud that I don't have any issues with rowing out or anything. And I recently started knitting with a DP end rather than magic loop or small circumference needles, because I tend to knit mostly in continental because I have quite a good knitting speed. And knitting continental on small circumference needles like 9-inch circulars, or like these little tiny interchangeables with like these tiny tips, my fingers cramp up super easily, and then I really get hand pain and wrist pain like really quickly. So I tried out DPNs, and in the beginning I was not a big fan about DPNs, but then after knitting one more rows and getting a hang of it, I now say I prefer DPNs before anything else. So yeah, this is that. And this is another whip I need to finish. Hopefully in April maybe, or like of course latest on the needed deadline, but I think this one will be finished latest in April, I think, because I can't put this down, and it's so cool, and the color is really engaging too during the knitting process. So this is a project that I really love to knit on, and I can't wait to have this as a finished object in spring, like under a cardigan, or even in summer if it's like a not so hot summer afternoon, maybe with some linen pants or a skirt. I think this will look really lovely. And then I have another whip, but I'm actually not allowed to talk about it yet because it is another sample knit for a designer, and I'm not allowed to talk about the yarn, design, or knitting process or anything before I have the allowance to do that. So I can only say I have another whip that's a sample knit, but I sadly can't show you the yarn or the project. So you have to be patient with me and keep on watching the podcast and keep on track on my Instagram, because I usually post my whips and finished objects right there before I even film my podcast. So that's that. This is actually my last whip, and then we can move on to acquisitions. And this is the beginning of a design that will be releasing in a Laine magazine on the 7th of March. I did some video tutorials for the designer Cocoamourknitwear, and then I fell in love with the design, so I asked her if I could knit up a version for myself and then doing the tutorials with it. And she said of course. And this is everything I have. I just knitted that much so I can finish the tutorials. And I just established the pattern and raglan increases, so it has like this slip stitch pattern on the sleeves, and then it's just stuck on it everywhere. And I have this really springy colorway on my needles because I don't want to knit only in beige, white, brown, and dark browns, dark grays. And I'm not that vibrant color girly, so I thought it needs to be something muted, something pastel-y. And then I got this. So this is Drops Kid Silk, I think in the color Cherry Sorbet, I think. And then this is Drops Baby Merino in the color Mushroom Rose. And since this mohair is more pink, it's still gives like the garment a bit more structure. It makes it a bit more pink compared to the, oh yeah, you can see really clearly that the mushroom, like the baby merino only, is like more on the nudie side, and then with the mohair it just adds a bit more color, and I really like it. It's not like too Barbie and too girly, but it still adds a bit of color and would look so cute in spring. And I'm knitting this in size 3. I usually always knit size 3 in Cocoamourknitwear knitting patterns. So yeah, I can easily memorize that and look out for the numbers for my size and the pattern. Yes, I think that's all of the whips, I think. And then I got some yarn in January and this month. But this month I only got the yarn from my sample knits, but sadly I can't talk about them right now. And then I got the drops cotton merino for my pulse tee. These were the only yarns I got in February, I think. No, I got the yarn for the amber cardigan in like this yarn I got in February too. It's for the amber cardigan that will be released in the Laine magazine soon. But all the other yarns I'm going to show you I got in January, but since they're all drops yarns, it's not that expensive. Oh, actually, I see a yarn right there that I still got in February, and I ordered this for Valentine's Day. So I'm just gonna show you that first, and then we're gonna browse through all the yarns I got in January and my knitting plans with them. Show you is hand-dyed yarn, and I'm a lover for hand-dyed yarn. And this is a beautiful sock set by the lovely Anna from Cupid Knits. And this is not an advertisement in like I got it sponsored or gifted, like I bought this myself, but she just deserves the advertisement for her yarns. She recently started hand dyeing just out for fun and then posted it, and many people, including me, were like, I want to buy that. So she dyed a bit more to sell it, and then she made like a Valentine's Day collection with this kit, needle stoppers, and stitch markers, and progress keepers. And I just ordered the whole collection, and I'm just gonna insert here a picture. You can see everything because my stitch markers are somewhere in another room, and I have them on whips, and I can only show you this yarn right now. And I think I'm just going to make some vanilla socks with it to like not get the color away and let the color shine. So that's definitely like if I need something small for traveling or something, to have something on needles, but like nothing big, that it just is a blanket on my lap. I think these socks in this beautiful hand-dyed yarn will be the first thing that I cast on, I think. Yes, I think that's all. And are you excited for the January yarns that I ordered? I think you are. So I think I'm just gonna get the smallest quantity, and then we move to the larger quantities. I don't know how long this episode is already, but I'm super excited. Yes, my mic is still on. So let's get ahead and we talk about my new yarns that I got and that I already have plans for. So let's get on. This is yarn from Knit and Note. And I ordered, I'm just gonna get this out. Sorry if the bag is just making unnecessary sounds. This are 3 balls of the Knit and Note Merino. I'm just going to show you that. Yes, here. Knit and Note Merino. I think it's in the color Perfect Pink. Yes, it's Perfect Pink. And it's just a fingering merino. And this is for a camisole, actually. I'm still not sure about which camisole exactly, but I think it's either the square neck camisole by Garneslicht or some of the camisoles from my favorite things knitwear. But I'm usually a size small or even an extra small in camisoles because they intend to have a lot of negative ease. So sometimes I'm even an extra small in camisoles. And 3 balls of fingering weight merino are definitely enough for my size. So I just ordered 3 to be certain. And this is just a lovely color. I really imagine this in summer when you're already a bit tanned and a bit darker and then wearing this bright pink. It's not even that bright, but I think on tan skin, it makes it pop so beautifully. So I really plan to start on some summer knits soon so that I have some summer pieces ready when summer begins. And then I have 2 larger sweater quantities of yarn, also by Drops, because Drops is like the yarn that I can afford the most. A sweater quantity, even with mohair, usually just costs me like 50 euros for a sweater. And I know that it's not that economical and it's not that super great, but it's the thing I can afford, and I usually don't make a big deal about expensive yarns and anything, but when I can't afford like knitting for Olive on every project or Cardiff Cashmere on every project, I'm not a bad knitter, or like I'm not a destroyer of nature or whatever, because knitting is my hobby and knitting is quite expensive. And if that's the only thing I can like afford and I'm happy with my knitwear, then that's everything that counts. So I just wanted to like get that disclaimer out that I know there are better yarns out there, but with a better quality there comes a higher price. And I'm a mom of 2 little toddlers, so I don't have that big, huge budget for yarn. So I just buy what I can afford and I'm happy with it. So I just stop rambling and grab the first bag of yarn. So I'm just gonna, oh, okay, this is this yarn. Okay, got it. So this is a yarn quantity for the Chantal sweater by Moreca Knit. And I didn't want something white because white is too basic for me, and I have other knits planned that are going to be white, and I didn't want to have something too bright or too dark because I didn't want like to get away from the structure. So I decided on this color combo, and this is Drops Alpaca. I think it's in the color ice blue. I think it's ice blue or light blue or something. And yes, and this mohair, this Drops Kid Silk, is actually in the color ice blue, I think. But I'm just gonna insert the color names here because for this I'm really not sure. So I think this will make a so beautiful icy blue color in the end. And I'm really excited for my Chantal sweater. There's actually a cowl ongoing, which inspired me to buy the yarn for it. But the cowl ends, I think, on the beginning or end of April. And since I have a lot of projects going on already, including the sample knit as well, I don't think if I get that finished before the end of the cowl, but I still have to look at the guideline for the cowl again and see if whips are also counted. If so, I'm just gonna knit a bit on it and maybe just complete the yoke and join in the round, that I just have something to show for the cowl. But I don't think I can finish this whole garment until April, considering that I have a lot of whips already that need my attention as well. But I'm happy about the yarn, I'm happy about the project I chose, and I'm definitely going to knit that up, but maybe just not right on time where it's like supposed to be finished. And then the last yarn that I got in January, I got so influenced by another podcaster on YouTube that I'm binge watching every day. And this is the lovely Laine from Norwegian Knitter. And she is a super kind soul. And her knitting and her knitting speed and everything she does is just so inspiring. And she uploaded a project vlog for the Porcelain sweater by Laine. And this sweater is actually on my wish list for quite some time. And then when I saw her project vlog, my brain just started like, buy yarn, get the yarn. And she knitted hers in drops Flora, I think, in the color white and blue. And I'm usually not that blue girly. So I thought about why not keeping like with the beige or white main color and just doing the color work in maybe a lilac, purple, or Bordeaux. And then I started browsing through the lovely Drops Flora yarns, and I got my yarn, and I got this. This will be my main color. It's actually not white, it's the lightest gray they have. This is Drops Flora in the color 03, and I think 03 is the color light gray. And then I got this Drops Kid Silk, and I think this is the color Moonshine. It's a really light gray mohair, and I think this will. Then I have the yarn for my colorwork section, and the Drops Flora actually did not have this. So I thought, okay, I'm just gonna look for the Drops Fabel, since this is also a fingering weight yarn. And I chose Drops Fabel, I think in the color Wine or Bordeaux. And then the Drops Kid Silk in this lilac color. Like for the colors, I'm not certain. I'm just gonna add the color names on the screen. And I think this is a beautiful color. And I'm just so excited for this. I think this will definitely be my dream knit, my most worn knit when it will be finished. And I think this will be my first fall cast on of 2025. I know it's still far along, and we still have to get through winter and spring and summer, but I was just so inspired about the yarn and everything that I just thought, okay, I need it right now, and I have it, and I can just store it away, and then I'm fine. So I think that's it. Yes, I'm super excited. I hope it was not too boring or not too overwhelming for you, but I asked if you would like a more detailed podcast, and you said yes, so I delivered. And I think, yes, that's all. That's all. And before I ramble too much, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching my podcasts, liking, subscribing, even commenting or messaging me on Instagram.